All right, so unbelievably, Mike McCarthy is out of a job right now. I know a lot of Packers fans have been wanting it, hoping for it. Now it's finally happened right now. And we're wondering what's happening next, and I think the one thing we know that's not going to happen next is McCarthy's not going to go on some sort of media tour saying he wished he had other quarterbacks and then say he's going to join the Vikings 2 weeks from now. So
no way he can say he wish he had other quarterbacks.
So that's the other way that we've seen an interim head coach or a fired midseason head coach handle business. So I turn to you, Steve. Where did it all go down the tubes in Green Bay?
There's so many things. It's not any one thing, one game, one play. There's so many things. I was there in training camp, and they were so optimistic, though. They were beginning their 100th year in existence, and they were just fired up. Mike McCarthy told me, he said, Mooch, we've got over 1,000 starts with our offensive guys. This is a veteran team, man. And we added Jimmy Graham, and Aaron Rodgers said, hey, Mooch, Jimmy Graham is the best guy I've ever had around here at tight end. Well, Jimmy Graham had 10 touchdowns a year before, only 2 this year. He didn't live up to expectations and so many other things. But when you come down to it, take a look at their schedule in the middle of the season. And this is nobody's fault for the scheduling. But after their bye, Rich, they lose at the Rams in a 2-point game where they fumbled the kickoff and didn't get the ball back, 29-27. Then they lose at New England. That's a tough game. Then they beat Miami, of course, at home in Lambeau. They win at home usually. Then they're at Seattle, and they lose in a 1-possession game. Then they lose at Minnesota. 4 games on the road out of 5 that they lost in close games, and it just destroyed them. They lost their confidence. It came unraveled, and it was unfortunate because you have a good organization with a good coach, and it's unfortunate it came down this way.
James Jones is with us right now in chilly Kansas City, and you're kind of our Packers whisperer. When you were on my show just a couple weeks ago, James, you said that McCarthy wasn't at fault. He wasn't the guy who was the big problem. It was just a team situation. I'm wondering if you still feel that way right now.
I absolutely feel that way. And when I think back on this season, there's a lot of times where I feel like, okay, this season, could have been Mike's fault. That season could have been Mike's fault. But when you strictly just talk about this year, it was the players not making plays, in my opinion. You heard Mooch say, the Rams game, you fumble. Then you have the ball in the Patriots game. Going into the fourth quarter, it's 17-17, you fumble. You have a Clay Matthews sack early in the season against the Vikings that cost them the game. They had an interception penalty. That's 3 wins right there that could be on the Packers. The Packers could have, and Mike McCarthy still could have his job. But it just came down to this year. It wasn't the plays. It wasn't the play caller. It was all about the players not making plays when you needed to make plays. And at the end of the day, it cost Coach Mike his job. And that's why when you hear Aaron talk, I could see it on his face. He felt like we did not get the job done on the football field to keep Coach Mike here.
Well, guys, let's bring this back home because we're talking effects. Those are things that there are things that are being called that's causing those effects. Like they're not making these plays or something's going wrong. Why is that? Why is that? And I'm telling you, I think it comes all back down to the discord that's going on between the 2 heads of that football team. We can talk about what happened and why this is not happening in New England. Because you got an offensive quarterback going up against the defensive coach. They had discord, but they're not in the meeting room every day together. Kurt, we were talking about this. Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, how can you guys have problems? You are the main 2 to put together the offense, put together the game plan. If you don't think that thing is leaving the head and seeping all the way down to the feet, which is causing the fumbles and causing those plays that you are not missing because it's not right at the head, that's why it's seeping down to the feet. Cause and effect. They are losing because of the cause of those 2 not being together up front, and it's seeping down to the rest of the team.
And I'm going to say it's even bigger than this. I don't think it's just about this season. I believe it went wrong when you put all your eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. And what do I mean by that? I went back and looked at teams or quarterbacks that played in multiple Super Bowls. When you look at those quarterbacks, 15 of those 18, more than once they've had a top 10 scoring defense when they've gone to the Super Bowl. In other words, I look at this Packers team, and we saw it last year. He's injured. team falls apart. When Aaron Rodgers isn't out there and he isn't being special, this team has no way to win football games. And so I look at a bigger picture that you have to put more players around than just a great quarterback to win. And when they made that decision that, well, it's more about Aaron, or Aaron will cover up all of our ills, I see it year in and year out, that this team has never been a great team since they won in 2010. They've had 3 teams that have been a top 10 scoring defense, all before 2010 when they won the championship. None since. They need to build a team around Aaron Rodgers.
If it's all
offense,
on
defense.
Aaron Rodgers,
when you put it all on him, it's tough to win, and I think that's where this went wrong.
Then Aaron's saying, if it's all on me, why are you not listening to me? That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. And we like to say that Aaron Rodgers has had some pretty good players around him. Cobb, those guys can play some football. And when he wins with them, we give him all the credit in the world. And when he loses with them, we say he doesn't have people around him. It is about that discord that is going on at the top that is leaking all through this team.
And it's amazing that those two had discord because McCarthy's the one who made that transition from Favre to Aaron Rodgers. And just a couple years after that, they won a Super Bowl together. And the fact that they fell out of, I guess, football love, is essentially what happened. Then